Hello everyone, this is Matthew once again. It is now 9:11 p.m. and I just think it's kind of sets the right mood here as it's now dark outside, so especially we're in the month of October and we're all getting prepped up for Halloween. Because, well, want to hear something spooky. Like ghosts and goblins. So, but not that, of course, I've been known for doing movie reviews for the month of October. I just thought I'd figure, like, why not try to do something different for this month? What can I talk about? I guess we'll talk about this. Yep, Ghostbusters. So, why not talk about it? Because I've been talking to it plenty of times. I reviewed the first movie twice, then I reviewed the second one, and then I reviewed the 2016 reboot, which I'm not really a fan of. Again, nothing to do with the gender. And of course, I review Afterlife, which I really love that movie. Really do. So, what else can I say? Anything that has already been said about Ghostbusters? Well, do y'all remember when I did that top 9 favorite couple in film or television thing? Which is done like a couple years ago? Well, I just figure, why not do a top 10 favorite Ghostbusters? So, which I finally do got 10 things to list out, because the last time I did a top favorite, it was mostly 9, because I couldn't get a top 10, but this one I do. But of course, I mean, everyone knows about Ghostbusters. They always think about something like their favorite scenes in a movie, the gadgets, the humor, and all that stuff. But for now on, I'm going to focus on something else. This time, I want to focus more on the ghosts themselves. The one that stood out to me. The ones that you very much remember, and they cannot escape your brain. So, I'm going to do it. And, of course, Watch Mojo has already done their top 10 favorite for ghosts and the Ghostbusters movies. So, I figure I might as well do the same. So, without further ado, here are my top 10 favorite ghosts in the Ghostbusters series. Enjoy. Number 10. Ivo Shandor from Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters the video game, and Afterlife. This character to me seems appropriate to be in that spot, as there isn't a ton to say. Here's why. In the first movie, we know he doesn't appear physically, but his backstory is explained as we, as the audience, learn that he started back in 1920 to build a society that worships their evil leader, Gozer, while also being the architect of the apartment building that both Lewis and Dan inherit. Of course, as I added trivia here, Shandor was originally going to be the main antagonist. It was to be portrayed by Pee Wee Herman himself, Paul Reubens. Reubens turned down, and that's when the filmmaker decided to have Gozer as the main villain, which we'll get to her. Also, Shandor will be utilized more in the game as he takes on his destructive form, which looks very devil-like, as I love the way how he looks in that form, as it looks more menacing and evil. So he does get his comeuppance after he shouts how he is a god, but Egon says, "We eat gods for breakfast." Shandor will appear once more in Afterlife, this time played by J.K. Simmons. As if anyone hasn't seen the movie, it does contain spoilers. I will admit, I was expecting Simmons to play Shandor, and was looking forward to seeing him and Gozer together, but that's not the case. Gozer rips him in half as she wants nothing to do with him, and he never comes back. So basically, this was a nothing role for Simmons, and that's one of the criticisms that I have with Afterlife, which he had a bit more screen time than what we were seeing. Overall, not one of the best ghosts in the franchise, but Shandor deserves to be in number 10. Mainly for his appearance in the video game. Number 9. The Mean Coat from Ghostbusters 2. This one will be much to say, but let's get right to it. The reason it is on my list is that this mean coat reappears during the montage after Figo takes the hold on Dana's baby. There's a woman who pretty much wears a mean coat as she walks around but fails to notice for stepping on slime. So her mean coat comes to life, and those ferocious creatures try to attack her, but she manages to take it off while the coat scares everyone. Interestingly, this sequence was originally planned to be in the first movie during the, I believe, his magic montage, as we have an audience watching these models showing off all types of mean coats, but one of the models gets attacked and it starts to scare everyone during the runaway show. It was never used, but ended up in the second one. It deserves to be the number 9 spot, as I do find it scary that whenever you put on a coat that comes from a dead animal, you'll never know if it starts to eat you up. Heck, this would give Cruella de Vil nightmares. So that's number 9 on my list. Number 8. The Scoleri brothers from Ghostbusters 2. This happens during the courtroom scene as the judge declares the Ghostbusters guilty and loses his temper, which leads up to the Scoleri brothers as they begin to cause trouble. The judge himself recognizes them and tells the Ghostbusters that he sentenced them to death by giving them the electric chair, as they were always committing crime. I always love the way how they were designed, as one looks skinny and the other being fat. Maybe not scary, but the designs of them are cool and creative. All thanks to them, they do bring the Ghostbusters back as they get captured in the trap and have our heroes to be back in business. So, that is number 8. Number 7. Vigo the Carpathian. Vigo is played by German boxer Wilhelm von Homburg, while his voice is dubbed by the late Max von Sydow. In the movie, we learned that Vigo was a 16th century sorcerer who died during the 17th century, as he was once a prince and to take power and rule over his country. While he takes possession on Janos, as he is stuck in being in the painting, his goal was to find a human child so he can live again and rule the world. Cliche as it is, but Vigo is a really good villain. Due to his popularity, the character will appear as an Easter egg in the video game. This goes as the main villain isn't as much as Gozer is, and nothing can top her, but he does deserve to be on this list, as I still find him to be memorable as he is today. More so than that Roland guy in the 2016 movie. Truly a memorable villain, which is why he is number 7 on my list. Number 6. The Library Ghost from Ghostbusters. Played by the late Ruth Oliver, or her only movie she's ever been in. This ghost makes a memorable appearance as she first begins to scare some socks off an old librarian, and while the Ghostbusters begin investigating until they have their first encounter. Her real name was Eleanor Twitty, who was the head of the library until went missing in 1924 by mysterious circumstances where she was murdered by a man whom she was seduced by, Edmund Hoover, as we learned her backstory in the video game. What I like about the library ghost is the way she looks like when she is indeed old, but definitely has a spooky vibe to it where she is minding her own business and wanting to read books without any noise. Of course, the Ghostbusters tried other ways to communicate, but all she ever did is to tell them to be quiet. That is until they made her snap, which leads her to turn into her demonic form that scares off the Ghostbusters while leaving them to a start of a business of their own. Iconic as she is, that scares audiences while making them laugh, the Library Ghost is number 6 on my list. So, whatever you do, please do not talk during the library. Number 5. Gozer the Gozerian from Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters Afterlife. Definitely have to include her in. This character, I will admit, did terrify me because of not only the way she looks, but how demonic her voice is. Whenever she is on screen, I leave the room. As I said earlier, the villain was originally going to be Ivo Shandor, but was later changed into Gozer, played by Slavisia Javan, while her voice dubbed by Patty Edwards. No need to explain more about her backstory, as I already mentioned at the beginning of the list. Gozer is without doubt the best villain of the series, and she doesn't say a whole lot, but the way she gives looks to the heroes is pretty much all you need. Whenever they try to have her stand down, you can tell she doesn't take orders and stands what she does, and that she can and will. This is a ghost you don't want to mess with, as she does have more of a threat aside from any of the other ghosts. While she appears as an Easter egg in the video game, she also returns in Afterlife, but this time played by Olivia Wilde, while her voice dubbed by Shihorid Adalashlu, which I apologize if I get that name wrong, and giving an updated look as she comes back for revenge and finish what she started. Always love both her designs and looks and voice in both films, and Gozer is definitely one of my favorites as she earns herself in the number 5 spot. Number 4. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yes, this giant bad boy of Casper has to be on here because he's a sailor, he's in New York, well, you know the rest of the dialogue. To make this short as possible, Stay Puft is a very well-known product placement as he was made for the movie, while a child favorite from Ray as he had to use it in order to not let Gozer to take any form that would have destroyed things. Stay Puft will return in the video game while to add as a bonus. In Afterlife, you do get many Stay Pufts as they are, of course, cued as they appear when Paul Rudd's character is at Walmart. I even do have a bobblehead of mini Stay Puft as I got this as a birthday present this year. On the outside, he may be lovable, but on the inside, he's definitely a mean marshmallow. Number 3, Slimer. Of course, I have to include this disgusting blob on my list because what's not to like about Slimer? Aside from the first movie, this ghost appears in everywhere, such as the sequel, the reboot, comics, cartoons, you name it. While we don't know much about his backstory, this ghost is very much known to snack on food and slime on people, which is what Figment really hates. But surely fans would love to know where this ugly little spud came from. Slimer, of course, does become the first ghost to be captured by the Ghostbusters until he gets set free, all thanks to Walter Peck. In the second film, he returns by eating Lewis's lunch while befriending him a bit. In a deleted scene, you do get more of Lewis as he is trying to catch Slimer, but didn't work well. Slimer, of course, is basically based off the character Bluto from Animal House, as Dan, of course, describes him as the ghost of John Belushi. While I'm not a fan of the 2016 movie, Slimer is pretty much the only good thing that he has offered, but I do find it funny that he gets to have a family of his own, including a Mrs. Slimer, as they drive the Ghostbusters car. Slimer is a lovable troublemaker, and there's nothing to dislike about him. Number 2, the Terror Dogs from Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ghost's very own demonic hellhounds, both dogs named Vince Clorso, the Keymaster, and Zool, the Gatekeeper, as they are both once gargoyles on the top of the building until they are awakened for the coming of Gozer, as they both take on possessing Dana and Lewis. These are the kinds of dogs that you don't want to keep as your pet, as they are horrifying and can make them move whenever they chase you down. Of course, let's not forget, whenever the victim sits in a chair, demonic hands come out and keep them restrained. The dogs themselves return after life as they possess both Callie Spangler and Mr. Gruberson. The designs themselves are incredible looking, as the special effects team were able to create something that isn't cute nor friendly. No matter what, nobody wants a terror dog as their own pets. And now, before we get to my number 1 favorite, here are my honorable mentions. Zombie cab driver from Ghostbusters. Well, if you say Travis Bickle is the worst cab driver in New York City, wait till you drive this zombie, because this mad driver is driving like a maniac. So whatever you do, just take yourself another cab. Muncher from Ghostbusters Afterlife. Cute as he is, but also he's really no Slimer. But he really deserves to be an honorable mention. And my last honorable mention is the Titanic from Ghostbusters 2. Well, if you've ever watched James Cameron's Titanic and how they died during that event, then this is what they become. Well, now I got my honorable mentions out of the way. I guess you want to know what is my number 1 favorite. Because I don't know if you'll even like it. Or, oh, Matthew. What are you doing? I can't believe I'm gonna say it. I can't believe I'm gonna say it. Drumroll. And my number 1 favorite ghost of all time in the Ghostbusters franchise is the Dream Ghost from Ghostbusters, aka the Fort Demerang Ghost. But Matthew, you said this was your least favorite scene in the movie. You said that. You went on your criticism about what you didn't like about Ghostbusters, all because of that one scene. How is this your number 1 favorite? Well, first off, I don't need a script for this because most of the recording you heard is scripted. This one, I don't think I need a script for this. Okay, this one's easy to talk about, and I gotta get it out there. So, yes, that scene from Ghostbusters is definitely my least favorite part of the film. However, that ghost itself that appears upon Ray where he's in bed is pretty much like the one good thing I do like about that scene. Other than the fact that she's hot, which she is. So I guess here's why this Dream Ghost is my favorite. So, she's actually quite fascinating and mysterious in a good way. That this character looks very human. I just have very strong feelings that I felt like this ghost could easily get a movie of her own. Because I've always wanted to know more about her backstory. To know who she is, where she came from, and how did she die. So, continuing on, no, she's not my favorite ghost because she took Dan Aykroyd's pants off and serves him orally. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's more about her. Like I said, who is she? Where she came from? And how did she die? It's like I want to learn more about her past. I want to know where she came from. More so than the library ghost, Slimer, any other ghost I can name of that you see in any of the Ghostbusters movies, or anything that you just heard from me when I try to create this list. Because I know this character has potential to have her own backstory. As we all know, that if you've been doing a lot of research on the internet, that this character was originally a woman who had a love life during the war, and she passed away around 150 years, which I presume that she passed away in the year 1834, until you jump to the year 1984, which is when Ghostbusters came out. So whenever I look at that ghost, she's always going to stick in my mind. I'm always going to think about that character in Ghostbusters. Especially she is played by a former Playboy model, Kimberly Herron. Which, if she is watching this, I would like to know more about her experience on making that film. Which, of course, I've heard that she can't do interviews anymore, but I would love for her to at least talk about the movie, her experience, and maybe if she's even heard about this deleted scene that when originally, before she was cast as a Dream Ghost, that her character was originally going to be Dr. Raymond Stan's own love interest. So, I know I should be embarrassed of it, of telling you that this ghost has to be my favorite, despite that it is my least favorite scene in the movie. So, I guess you could probably say that maybe I'm sort of, which I don't like to use the word, embraced it. Which I guess I kind of am, but I'm still not a fan of the scene. But that ghost is really something. Again, nothing to do with the whole BJ saying what the ghost doing it to Ray. It's more about her history. It's like I just want to know more about her. Because she doesn't need to look creepy. She doesn't need to look like ghosts or anything else. She just happens to look more very human and very beautiful and alright. And look like she happens to be a very lost soul. Not just a succubus, as Dan Aykroyd puts it. Because I think she is more than a succubus who appears in people's sleep. And if I need to share you more of my interpretation of that scene, which I'm not sure if I ever said that in my reviews, but I'm also saying anyway. I know that in the Watch Mojo review, where they said in their interpretation that the Dream Ghost loves Cheez-Its, and it has to be her favorite food that Ray snacks on, and she had to unbuckle his pants in order to get the Cheez-Its, which, okay. But from my interpretation, which you might get a laugh at this, as a kid, I didn't get that whole scene. I always first saw that she was just taking his pants off because she doesn't want him to wear pants. She forbids him to wear pants. She hates pants. But she really is a huge fan of underwear. And she really wants Ray to be in his underwear because, to remind him for one particular reason. Undies rule. That's the territory I'm going with. Because that whole scene you just saw in the movie, it was nothing more but the underwear. It was all about the underwear. And you know something? It might as well just be turning something into like a MeUndies commercial or something. And also, what really surprises me is that not any cosplayer in this world has ever cosplayed this character. And I think it really needs to happen. I mean, if you're a cosplayer, if you're watching this video, make it happen. I want to see you cosplay this character because I'm dying to see how you can cosplay this character from Ghostbusters. And yes, I do like to see a movie about her backstory. Which, of course, I don't want to spill the beans here, but I will say this. I already have. I actually have wrote a short film screenplay on her backstory. And see if Sony or Ghost Corp or Dan Aykroyd, Jason Reitman will be interested to hear my own take on the 4 Dead Marine / Dream Ghosts from Ghostbusters. Or from The Eyes of a Child, which of course I got this name from a friend of mine, which I won't say it. I just call her, or my friend just call her, the Undie Ghost. Because, like I said, undies rule. So, and that's all I gotta say about it, and that is why this ghost happens to be my #1 favorite. Okay, so there you go. So that concludes my top 10 favorite ghosts in the Ghostbusters franchise. So, let me know which ghost that speaks out to you the most. And what are your favorites by putting them in the comments down below. And let me know what you think of this video. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know. Feel free to put your comments down below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So thank you for watching. Take care. And I'm about to go to bed. And no, I'm not going to dream about some ghost because I got to take my pants off. No. Because that's called sexual harassment. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, thank you for watching. Take care. And I will see you guys later. Thank you. And good night.